Real Clear Politics average of national polls for September 16th shows Biden leading Trump by nearly 6 points. But despite the lead, Biden's numbers are down from June 23rd when Biden led Trump by 10 points.
Filmmaker Michael Moore has been warning the Democratic Party that they could face a 2016 repeat. And as Time magazine notes, the Biden campaign's absence in Michigan is right now making some Democrats really nervous. With 46 days left until the general election, Michael Moore joins us now to weigh in on what Democrats need to do in order to win this fall. It's always great to see you, Michael.
Thanks for having me on. Good to see you guys. Thanks.
Good to see you, Michael.
Yes.
Of course. So just give us, your lay of the land.
What you just said. I want people to be happy, and I know we're all feeling a lot of despair just because we've been in some form of a lockdown or whatever. Some of us have lost friends. Some of us have. Some people have been very sick, but got better. So it's. I know we want to hear good news, and I'm okay waiting for the good news part till 11 p.m. Eastern time on November 3rd. From now until then, we all have to act as if there's a chance the good news won't come. And I know we want to look at these polls and we want to say, oh, it's so great and it's nonstop, happy, but. And you guys don't know me personally, but I'm a generally happy person. But I have to tell you, you just quoted the June national poll versus today. That poll in June, Biden was ahead of Trump by 16 points. Today, in the Detroit Free Press poll, which was published yesterday, Trump has cut that lead in half. Biden's not ahead by 16 points anymore. He's ahead by 8. And with white voters, he's essentially tied. With men, of course, he's significantly ahead. This should be of concern to everybody. And this is true in Pennsylvania, where Biden and Trump are tied, I think 49-49. With white voters. But again, we're not talking about what needs to be talked about, which is who do we have to get out to vote? Who's got to get out? The people that got left behind in 2016, the people that were not spoken to in 2016, that's who stayed home in Michigan. And the fact that Trump has narrowed the lead by 50% since June should have everybody screaming bloody murder. It really, and figuring out what to do as soon as we're done talking. Or if you don't even want to listen to us, if you want to get busy now, because we don't have a minute to lose on this.
Michael,
yes.
Could you outline, you say there, what should the Biden campaign be doing? And specifically talk about your home state of Michigan. I mean, we have outlined here there's essentially no ground game there for the Biden team. They've seen their lead begin to narrow. Polls generally are all over the map. What warning signs that you saw last time do you see today, and what could actually be done to address them?
Well, start right with a ground game. It's actually worse than Hillary. At least there was a ground game, even though she didn't show up. There were Hillary offices in many towns, campaign offices. There was door-to-door campaigns, but you couldn't get a yard sign. And I learned long after the election, when I was making my last movie in 2018, from one of her top campaign people, he told me, he said, that's correct. It was on purpose. We were afraid that if there were too many Hillary yard signs, it would remind the Trump voters that, oh, yeah, that's right, I've got to get out and vote against her. So they're afraid. They start with fear of the Trump voter. And that's what's going on now. I've had in the last 2 days 3 different calls from Democratic Party people in rural areas in Michigan. They can't get yard signs. They're calling me, you have any contacts? Can you get us yard signs? I said, I can't believe this is happening again. Now, yard signs may seem like a simple thing to people, but it says a lot because you're driving up and down the roads in Michigan and you see Trump sign after Trump sign, Trump flags, Trump banners, people driving around their pickup trucks with Trump flags. It's everywhere. There's no forget about, okay, so there's no yard signs, but there's no Joe Biden. There's no, read this Time magazine article. It was published, I think, 2 days ago. Charlotte Alter is the journalist, the author of this article. I think he just showed a screen grab of it, where she says essentially it's an invisible campaign because the Biden campaign headquarters has somehow decided to ghost Michigan. Now, his campaign manager says in the article, well, we're just doing it different this time. Well, we need to do it differently than 16, but we need to go in the other direction. We need more. We don't need less.
Right.
Well, this is the 21st century. We're doing Facebook ads. We're doing digital. And it's like, oh, my God. Joe Biden did come to Michigan last week. So he's already ahead of Hillary on that level. But he went to Michigan and visited 2 towns and did not visit black Michigan. He went to white Michigan. He went to conservative Democratic Macomb County. He went to Warren. And then he went to Ecorse, which is what we call downriver from Detroit, which is even mostly white community. And there's a picture of him in the backyard with steelworkers sitting in chairs, socially distanced. And in the picture, there are more Secret Service agents than there are steelworkers. And in this Time magazine article, she was there. She was following the campaign around. So the Biden campaign didn't even put on their own website where he was going to be in Michigan. But the Trump people found out where he was. And a few Biden people did. So at that one setting with Biden, there were 30 Trump protesters with all their banners and signs and 8 Biden supporters.
Wow. And Michael, let me ask you, you said that, he went to white Michigan. He didn't visit the predominantly black parts of the state. And even worse than that, Rick Snyder endorsed Joe Biden and did a whole op-ed, and the Biden campaign promoted that. I mean, this is the governor who poisoned Flint, Michigan. What do you make of this?
He's getting the wrong advice. A lot of these Lincoln Project Republicans have hooked up with the campaign, and they have wrongly advised the campaign that, we used to be for Trump, but we changed our minds. So let's do more of that. Spend time and money trying to convince Trump people to change their minds and vote for Biden. That is a waste of energy and time and money. What we need to do is, there are 8,000 African Americans in Flint who did not vote in 2016. They stayed home. They had voted in 2008 and in 2012, but stayed home in 2016. Thousands more in Detroit, African Americans in Detroit, stayed home. They did not like the Democratic candidate. They saw the Democratic candidate didn't care about them, didn't come to Michigan. There's over 80,000 Michigan voters that showed up to vote that didn't stay home. And 80,000 went in, stood in line for 2 hours, went in, voted for every down ballot office. The majority of these ballots were Democratic. Voted for state house, state senate, drain commissioner. They left the top box blank for president because they wanted to say F you. And this was their way to vote. So like when you read in these polls now that there's like, say, 7% in yesterday's poll that are still undecided in Michigan, that doesn't mean they're still trying to decide between Trump and Biden. It means they're trying to decide whether or not to vote for Biden or stay home. That's the undecidedness that still exists with 7% of the Michigan population. The Biden campaign needs to give them reason to get out there and vote. African Americans, young people, women are Biden's ahead, like I said, by 20 points in Michigan. So that's covered. But to ignore the black vote, and this is how we lost Wisconsin, because the black vote was ignored in Milwaukee. We lost Pennsylvania. The black vote was ignored in Philadelphia. And the Democrats are doing this at their own peril. They think the way to win it is, let's go talk to those conservative Democrats. Some of them probably like Trump, and let's spend our time on that. Let's put ads like today. There's a big buy in military towns. Let's convince military voters that they should go with Biden. It's just so wrong-headed. And if I could, I don't know how to get this message through to the Biden people, because basically it's just making my job and the people working, all these other people out there trying to remove Trump, harder. And so if that's the case, fine, we'll just work twice as hard to remove Trump, to get Biden elected. It's interesting in that Michigan poll too yesterday, back in the summer, I think it was 2 or 3% said they were going to vote third party. In yesterday's poll, 5%.
Interesting.
Third party.
Wow.
To ignore this and to try to convince Trump voters to vote for Biden is, I'm telling you now, and I don't listen. I'm not saying this so you can play this on November 4th and go, "Wow, Michael Moore, you're right again. What is this guy? What kind of crystal ball is this guy?" No, I want to be wrong.
Yeah.
I want to be proven wrong. And the way that the campaign's being run, at least certainly in Michigan, I think this is happening in the other swing states. It's just the wrong way. It's the wrong way to go. We need to remove Trump. We will not survive 4 more years of this. We all need to get out there and get Biden in there. And yes, I know people have problems with Biden. I have problems. It's okay. We can deal with the problems later. We're a huge movement now. There's an uprising going on. That uprising isn't going to go away. And we have plus I don't want to leave AOC and Rashida and Ilhan and the other members of the new squad that's coming in. If we flip the Senate and we have an even stronger House, we can't leave them with a Trump presidency. We have to be there to help them get these bills passed and then force Biden to sign these bills.
Right.
Michael Moore, always great to have your insights here, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael.
Yes, thank you for having me on. Thank you very much.
Always.
It's our pleasure.
Next on Rising, Team Rising is back. Our panelists, Democratic strategist Andrew Feldman, the Washington Examiner's Tom Rogan. They join us to chop it all up when Rising returns.